Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Apex Racing TV's coverage of round number 9 of the iRacing IMSA Sportscar Championship here at Circuit de la South. As always, my name's Scott Newton, and alongside me tonight is Daniel Elite. Welcome, Daniel. Certainly, Le Mans got its individual challenges, but coming from Road America last week, what are your feelings heading into this week's round of the championship?
Yeah, good evening, Scott, and to all the viewers tuning in. Look, very much looking forward to the IMSA race here at Le Mans. I think, given that it's a track that we saw a lot of guys, especially run the GT3 for the 24 hours that iRacing did not really that long ago, I think we're going to have a very strong field in that class itself. But I think all in all, racing in all three categories, similar to what we've saw last week, at Road America, was fantastic, and I don't see why that wouldn't continue again tonight.
Yeah, certainly. Just taking a look at the weather for tonight, just quickly. It's going to be a late one. Just looking at the practice session earlier, it was a evening start time for the session, which will head into the night. So it'll be quite an interesting one to say the least. But just bringing up the weather now, it's 29:30 simulated time with a 19-degree ambient temperature, 19-degree track temp as well. So even though it's clear sky, very, very cold temperatures out there tonight. With a 12-kilometre-an-hour wind that is blowing from the east, with a 40% relative humidity. So, going to be quite interesting for the drivers with the changeable wind directions. I'd see that's slightly increasing as well. So, we'll see how all of the cars fare out there with just a couple minutes left of qualifying.
Yeah, absolutely. And if anything, really, probably getting into the peak time or perfect time, really, to be going out for a lap in these cars at the moment. I mean, track conditions are quite favourable and realistically should give the tyres quite good grip, especially through some of the corners, slower corners that we're going to see.
Yeah, absolutely. See that Blake Neck is starting a flying lap. I don't think he put in a first lap, so this will be his only attempt, I think. Or if he already has, that's a little bit less misleading from our timing screen. But see that Sven Haas has gone up into the provisional pole position in GTE. Just going to bring him up on screen for Bela Racing Euronics. Yeah, I also see that there's a few regular names from the Oceanic Endurance Championship trying to get their practice in as well. See Phil Morton, league admin, Dominic Ferraris as well, and Hayden Benefield. I know that they're keen drivers of that championship, so good to see how they fare out there tonight.
Yeah, definitely. And it looked like we also got Simon Mazzomo, so only a very small DP field as well. So good to see those himself and Blake actually going for it this week. I don't see a couple of our regulars out there that we've seen previously, but hopefully we might see them come in just a little bit.
Yeah, certainly. Just taking a look at the GT3 field at the moment, we've got Fritz Zahm in the provisional pole position on a 351.9. He's over, we're about 1.5 seconds clear of Joachim Lundgren. So fairly dominating position there for the pole position of Zahm. But yeah, with just about under 1 minute left in under a minute left in qualifying, just see how their other drivers are faring. Laredo coming up into the Porsche Curves right now. I reckon it'll be very, very tight for him to get to the checkered flag. Still got probably about 20% of the lap to go. Or, sorry, about 10% of the lap to go, looking at my timing screen. But, yeah, 20 seconds left. It's going to be very, very close in his Ferrari.
Yeah, Fro looking quite good through the Porsche Curves there, so he should be in for a pretty good time. And looking at where he is relative, he's been pretty consistent this whole lap, basically through those sectors.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, sadly he did not get to the checkered flag. So that will mean that his lap was invalidated But yeah, with that, we'll be able to take you through the grid for round number 9 of the iRacing IMSA Sportscar Championship. And Blake Neck takes the overall pole position for Alpenstars Geodesic Racing on a 3-minute 38.577. Simon Mazzone is alongside him, sadly 2.6 seconds behind, but we'll certainly see how he fares tonight. In the GTE pole position, we've got Sven Haase, and alongside him is Brian Lockwood. Phil Morton in the 3rd position in GTE, 5th overall. Ronnie Nunez, 6th. Dominic Ferraris in 7th. Marco Nomela in 8th. Hayden Benefield in 9th. Rounding out the top 10 is Reece Keane. In 11th is Tune Zwakinen. In 11th, Tiago Lareo in 12th. Hassan in 13th, Wolf 14th, Alex Cord 15th, Vodcic in 16th, Villaray in the 17th position, Faber in 18th, Cadambin in 19th, and rounding out the top 20 is Jonathan McCarthy. Eagleston in 21st, Lepente in 22nd, and rounding out the GTE field is Anton Bursbo in the 24th position, and the GT3 pole position was Fritz Zahm. Joachim Junrin in the 2nd position, and Chesho Kai in the 26th position. Alan Day in 27th, regular in the Daytona prototypes in the GT3 today. Marco Penttinen in 28th. Marco Borsma in the 29th position. Rounding out the top 30 is Brian Mousing, and the rest of your competitors are rolling through your screen right now. So thankfully we don't have the full pace lap here today, otherwise we'd be here for a good 8 minutes rolling around the pace lap, but certainly looking forward to the 45 minutes race we're going to have here tonight. But, yeah.
I think we're going to see a lot of great racing. That GTE field is quite sizable as well tonight, so we'll definitely need to keep some eyes peeled through that segment as well.
Yeah, certainly. Just going to bring up the car denominations for each of the GTEs at the moment. Heavily dominated by Ferraris, given their pace in the top end. Certainly looking to see how the BMW and the Porsches fare. Don't think I see any Fords out there, which is sad to see. But in saying that, though, in the GT3s as well, going to be heavily dominated by Mercedes cars as well. So do see a couple of Audis as well in there too. So it's good to see that as well. So yeah, we're about to get the pace car in, and we'll have a start for this 45-minute race.
Absolutely, and actually one regular we do need to keep an eye who is running a different car tonight, Alan Day, down in the GT3 field as well. So he's got some news we might catch up with later on at the back end of the race with a possible team change that he's going through as well. But we're not too far now from the start of the...
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, Blake Neck taking the green flag, and he gets a great start in the Daytona prototype field, opening up the 7/10 of a second gap. Sven Haase for Wheeler Racing Euronics has got the jump on Brian Lockwood. And the 3/10 gap, Phil Morton very, very close behind as well. 6/10 back as well. See that the GT3s are about to start now, so Zahm has taken the lead as expected into turn number 1, and Jungren is about 8/10 of a second back, so quite a big gap back to from Zahm to Jungren. But Kai as well, very, very close as well. There's only 3/10 gap back as well, so very, very clean start through all of the drivers. I don't see anyone falling down massively at the moment as well, so very, very good to see.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like everyone managed to get away very, very cleanly. Quite a few positional changes down in some of the classes. I'm just watching the timing screen sort of light up with a few going through, but everyone seeming to get away well. A few key points we're going to have to keep an eye on, especially with the off tracks, as we just see the guys making their way back onto the Mulsanne. There's Techeroos where they just come out of there. It's very, very easy to get an off track with the car running extremely wide as you try and maintain that high speed. If you can get it right, you'll set yourself up for a great pass, which we're just about likely to see here for the battle between third, fourth and fifth.
Yeah, certainly we've got Kai at the moment under pressure from Adeline Day, and also Penttinen up ahead. So I think Penttinen moved up into the third position in GT3. It's good to see him move up. He's actually moved up a couple of positions within the space of the third of this lap.
Yeah, he's looking very, very racy at the moment as well. Down the inside, we're going to see another pass coming on into the Michelin chicane, so this has got a great move going on here, and he's got a lot of pace in that Mercedes.
Yeah, absolutely. See a couple of position changes in the back of the GTE field at the moment as well. So that Bursbo and Lepente scrapping it out, and Villeray and Eggleston changing positions as well. But as they're coming up into the end of the Mulsanne straight and into Mulsanne, it looks as though that they're going to have to settle as they are. So Sai, Penttinen and Day rounding out the top 5 in GT3. See that Phil Morton hasn't had the best start in the GTE field. Has fallen down 4 positions. Must have had that slowdown penalty at Tetra Rouge, which has found himself behind his FD1 Motorsport teammates.
Yeah, very interesting to see too with the GTEs, the field almost all comprising of the Ferraris. There are a handful of the BMWs and a couple of Porsches out there as well, but heavily represented tonight by the Ferrari.
Yeah, see that they're coming up to the Porsche Curves for the first time. See that Haase has opened up a 4/10 gap, so let's just say that Lockwood's been able to close up fairly significantly as well. Let's bring that battle up as well. Might be going for that fuel save tactic, Lockwood, to see if he can stretch that extra lap. But we know from the caliber of Haase that, yeah, car number 1, close enough to 9,000 I rating, so yeah, he'll be very, very quick tonight, as expected.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think he'll be very switched on here with the strategy and attempting to try and get the most out of that car without really sacrificing the performance. And looking at his first lap time by 3:59, so pretty much on pace. A lot of the other cars in that GTE field dropping down into the just over 4-minute range.
Yeah, certainly with Lockwood and Nunez. Well, actually, Lockwood was still in the 3:59s as well, so everyone from Nunez back was pretty much in the 4:01s and slower, so 2-second gap between Lockwood and Nunez. Near enough to it, so see that bring up another. Oh, I see that Benefield has had a spin at Tetra Rouge. He's going to be in a very, very difficult position. He'll have to wait for the whole GTE field to go through. See if we can catch that back on replay. If I can find it. See if we can, yep, so just coming up through the twisty section there and heading to Tetra Rouge. Oh, and it just lost the back end. It must have clipped the grass. Almost had, I think that might have been Morton. Almost getting that slowed down penalty for a second time, which he did. Which will allow Reece Keane to go through as well. Certainly not ideal for Morton. Still finds himself in the same position as he was at the start of the lap.
Yeah, just be a little bit harder having lost the draft there for Phil, but he does have a couple of guys starting to come up behind him, which will almost pull themselves into draft range with Dominic Faber and Zorkina not too far behind that. So those guys are likely to get a bit of a run here. We've just jumped up to Numarella. He's got himself a nice toe on the back of Lockwood, so it could be a bit of a change of position after the Mulsanne, the Michelin corner, should these guys be able to do it down into Mulsanne.
Yeah, certainly. You see that, who is that in front of him, the number 2 car? That was, yeah, Rory Nunez copying a slowdown penalty. I think that might have been at the first chicane. So he's fallen back quite a lot as well. He was in 3rd position at the start of this lap and is having to fall back to the, I think, to 5th position. See that he's pulling over, trying to get rid of that slowdown. Will Keane get past? I don't think he will. A little bit too far back, only 8/10 gap to Nunez now. So a couple of drivers actually getting slowdown penalties. It's certainly a lot more than I expected at this early part of the race. Only just coming up to 7 minutes in.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, slowdowns around this circuit, probably you're going to notice them a lot more than the likes of Road America or some of the other tracks we've been to earlier in the week, just because of the high-speed nature of Le Mans and having to clear those. There's not really a lot of opportunity to do it without sacrificing at least 1 or 2 positions.
Yeah, certainly. Swanigan and Bin and Loreo in this battle for the 10th, 11th, and 9th, 10th, and 11th position in GTE. At one point, I thought they were going to be 3 wide. You see that Loreo flashing their headlights, trying to put all sorts of pressure on Swanigan. Oh, who is that? It's that Caleb Bin getting a slowdown penalty. I think that was on the exit of the Porsche Curves. So he's fallen himself back into the 11th position in GT. Actually, I correct myself, back into 12th.
And certainly not what these drivers would have wanted to see, just as they make their run up through the final part of the S's there. So good awareness to be able to get through all that. And this battle's still going to rage on. I think both cars, looking at the pace of them last time by, certainly very, very similar, and not a lot between either of these drivers.
Absolutely not. Just going to